Friends, relatives, and esteemed chairman, you're probably wondering what we're all doing here today.
Gina Carano was a pretty famous mixed martial artist. Then she became an actress and became even more successful. For a while, she was on the Disney show The Mandalorian.
You play ball, we play ball.
And to be the next Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, what happened?
They wouldn't let me play on the Pro Tour anymore.
Oh, I'm sorry. Because you're black?
Remember, it's important you vote only for Disney's 12 nominees using the white proxy card. Do not vote for the Trian Group or Blackwell's nominees.
All the employees were smiling, and that's probably in large part because they didn't own any Disney stock.
And the Disney stock just keeps going down and down and down. And then Bob Iger is all like,
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money, go f*** yourself.
From Professor Ludwig von Drake and I, thank you and goodbye.
Don't try to ruin my life with lies when your life can be ruined with the truth.
Go f*** yourself. Is that clear? I hope it is. Hey, Bob, if you're in the audience.
He who controls the spice controls the universe.
All right. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to my channel. I'm Reina Creole, and of course, this is the Spice Lounge, where we have hot takes, spicy conversation, and hey, the spice is always hot, and the spice will flow as always. So glad all of you are here. We have got a poppin' show for you tonight. We're going to be talking about Gina Carano's lawsuit just filed yesterday. No, I don't think it was yesterday. It's maybe 2 days ago, but we found out about it yesterday. Her lawsuit against Disney and Lucasfilm. And we're going to talk about that Disney Q1 2024 earnings call, which, well, you're going to hear us talk about it, but we're going to talk about it from the standpoint of the parks, which seemed quite noticeably absent from the Friendly Dog and Pony show today. So you know how we always do when we first get started. I have to hit you all with those hot topics while you guys starting to come on in. So these are some hot pop culture topics, basically, to let you guys know about real quick. Number one, coming to us from Variety. Charlie Cox suits up as Daredevil and reunites with Netflix co-stars Deborah Ann Woll and Eldon Henson in new Born Again set photos. Now, for folks who do not know, Daredevil Born Again, that is going to be the Disney Plus series. And as for your girl's personal opinion, the Daredevil show on Netflix was absolute fire. Absolutely loved it. lots of violence too, but I freaking loved it because I like that kind of thing. But anyway, awesome Marvel show. Wasn't too cool at all with how he was used in She-Hulk. So as for Born Again, I'm gonna check it out. But let's see, because I wasn't too happy with what they did with my boy in She-Hulk. So we will see what's happening. I like seeing all the gang getting back together again. So we will see what happens. Next up, Henry Cavill says he's not a fan of sex scenes. I don't understand them. So what is it exactly he doesn't understand? He says the actor believes most of the time the human imagination is going to trump what is actually filmed. So according to Henry Cavill, he's like, I don't understand them. I'm not a fan, Cavill expressed about sex scenes. I think there are circumstances where a sex scene is actually beneficial to a movie rather than just the audience, but I think sometimes they're overused these days. Of course, taste is relative. Some sex scenes are germane to a movie. Some you can tell that are kind of thrown in there just to be thrown in there, but besides the fact that I love Henry Cavill to death, not as much as Jason Momoa, but I still love him. I'm kind of on his side on this. There's too much of it being gratuitously used as opposed to doing something to move the plot along. But that's my hot take. I'd love to find out what you guys' hot take is. And speaking some more Disney, Pedro Pascal will soon begin filming on Fantastic Four as Reed Richards. It is no secret that I am not happy that it is not John Krasinski, but it is what it is. But apparently, Pedro Pascal is doing some appearance with SAG Foundation, and in his write-up, they were saying that he's about to start filming soon on Fantastic Four. For myself personally, there hasn't been a Fantastic Four movie I've really liked, which is a shame because I love the Fantastic Four from the Marvel comics. So again, another wait and see. With respect to Disney, The Mandalorian and Grogu is reported to set filming on June 17th. Well, let's just say in light of what's going on with Gina Carano, this is going to be real interesting, not just with the lawsuit with Gina Carano, but also remember that unfortunately we lost Carl Weathers this week. And I wonder if he was going to be written into this or if he was, and now they're going to have to probably, make contingencies for it. But either way, filming on June 17th. We'll see what happens, but it's in production. And our last one, which I like to call Twittiot of the Week, and Rolling Stone keeps winning this award. Exclusive, the Super Bowl will once again feature ads promoting Jesus, thanks in part to a large billionaire family that leads Hobby Lobby. Well, Rolling Stone, in case you didn't know, and I really wish you'd stick to music instead of injecting yourself in this stuff, anybody can buy a Super Bowl ad. Anybody. From Jesus to the Coven of Witches, they can buy an ad on for the Super Bowl. So, stay mad. So with that said, folks, with those hot topics, I see you all starting to roll on in here. 24 of you folks so far. So you know what? Let me bring in my panel of friends. We have got Fast Guy, aka Dre from That Park Place. We have got Views with Hughes with us back as well. We've got a special guest, Ron Bradley of Follow the Bradley's Fun YouTube channel, and Retro Nerd Girl. Yay! How are my buds doing this evening?
Doing pretty good.
Doing good.
Good.
Yeah.
Very good.
He went through the earnings call like we all did.
Yes.
That's rough.
Yes, it's like having to listen to your old relatives talk, and not the interesting old relatives either. That's the distinction. The interesting ones were just like, oh, we got to get behind the couch and listen.
Although I can actually be honestly and say that, we're starting to see that Bob Iger is actually now starting to admit more of the things that they're putting out there is not working, film-wise, studio-wise, and everything. But the problem is, it's a lot of stuff he's still trying to take credit over, like Avatar, for example. That's a James Cameron movie. This didn't make that. They just released it.
Well, it was also a year ago, too, so why isn't he hyping any of the 2023 slate?
I got something better for you. He's talking about the success of stuff that happened 4 years ago and everything. As if it's still something new.
Yeah.
I'll give you something new, Hughes. How about a sequel to their 2016 hit, Moana? How about that, guys? Aren't you all excited that they took a streaming service series and putting it over into a sequel officially for a theatrical release? Come on.
Hang on, just in case you folks are thinking we're making this up, and we'll talk about it in a little bit. But yeah, it was going to go to Disney Plus, but they have so much faith in it that they're going to bring it into theaters. Now, let me say this. I thought having faith in the property meant that you guys were going to be hyping the live-action Moana. What happened to that?
Apparently, that's still in production.
Okay.
I mean, that's what I got. Maybe I am wrong, but checking on it myself, apparently that's still in production. I don't know how much they had to pay The Rock for this piece right here. They probably had to renegotiate that contract.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Earlier in the year, we were wondering what was in the November slot that they had available to them. Usually they, claim these slots years in advance, and this November slot hadn't been filled, even though there are movies that have been placed in slots around it. So we were all wondering, are they not going to have an animated movie this year in that slot? That's very unusual. They haven't done that for a number of years now. So we were all wondering, what were they going to put in there? And it looks like in a move that I can only surmise as desperation. I understand that he gave a nice answer that they were so impressed with what they saw. Okay, yeah, that I can guarantee you that didn't happen.
No, it's like, what do we have in the can right now?
Right.
Like, what do you mean? No, I mean like now. We need something. Go find something and put this out there. But I mean, we will get back to the call, but let's just say that slippery surface, Bob Iger doesn't seem to be able to tap dance as well on it like he used to in the past. So we're going to get to that call, because trust me, what we say about that call is going to be way more freaking interesting than
and I definitely have some thoughts about this change suddenly to make a series a movie. It's very despicable, because usually series are written in a completely different way than a movie is, and has a completely different rhythm. And we're talking about another possible floppy flop on their hands. And that is really
possible.
Yeah.
Likely.
Yes, likely.
They're going down the runway, and it's really looking awful. Like, you make a movie. I don't think this sounds horrible.
Well, we remember that. I think, wasn't Boba Fett supposed to be a movie, and then they made it into a series?
And Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan
was supposed to be a movie.
And Obi-Wan, and we've seen how that doesn't work out almost at all. To go the other way is almost even more difficult, as Retro Nerd Girl has so eloquently said. But also, it's likely to fail, as we've all surmised here.
Disney's at a point now where I think that the best thing they can do is find the best YouTubers that make fan fiction, hire them, and just put it out, because they probably make more money that way.
There's evidence for that, I think.
Yeah, especially when you look at a lot of these fan films that are out there. Just the type of, not only just the care that they put into the story, but the sets, the costuming, all of that.
Well, they actually care about the source material, right? Apparently, and I was just on Pro's show, and Tom was on there from Midnight's Edge, and he was detailing that a lot of these studios, whether it be Lucasfilm doing stuff for Star Wars or Indiana Jones, whether it be Star Trek or what have you, a lot of the talent, the conditions for employment, right?
Oh my gosh!
It is conditioned, right? That you not be a fan of these franchises when being hired.
Another horrible setup for failure.
Exactly. Sorry, Ron, you were going to say.
No, it's just. I mean, it's to me, it's like hiring Pedro Pascal to be Reed Richards, Dr. Richards. I'm like, I don't know how that's going to work out. First of all, he's the Mandalorian. People know that. There's some of the things. What was the movie he did with the talent movie with Nicolas Cage? That was funny. I enjoyed that. It was. I can't remember the name of it, but it was Nicolas Cage played Nicolas Cage.
I remember that movie.
Yeah, and Pedro Pascal was the bad guy, and then it was and it was funny. And I feel like we need more of that from Pedro Pascal, but I do not see him as Reed Richards. Plus, I should have been Reed Richards.
I don't. When I heard he was announced, I'm just like, no. I just can't. But what I am loving is the fact that there are 28 of you folks here in the chat.
Yeah.
So appreciate that. Please do smack that like button. Please do let people know that we are here streaming here on the Spice Lounge, where you know what, we have all kinds of spicy hot takes. I do not censor anybody, and it's not a true Spice Lounge show unless somebody has a good rant.
See, my wife likes Pedro.
We definitely, yes. So let's get to the big story, shall we? The one that made me have to ask my thumbnail guy CJ to update. Gina Carano sues Disney over Mandalorian firing in lawsuit funded by Elon Musk. The actress claims the entertainment giant discriminated against her for voicing certain opinions on hot button issues. Now, I'm going to say, just looking at the title, does anything in particular stick out to you as if not really necessary to include, but definitely shows a bias that's
the mention of Elon Musk?
Yeah, that stench of that bias that's coming off with this.
Yeah, they have to mention that it's funded by Musk.
Must.
Who wasn't he a darling of the left just a few years ago, if I remember correctly?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the climate changer saver. You know, this was going to be the huge thing. We're going to go to space with him, and we're going to, completely revolutionize the auto industry with Tesla. But now, well, I guess he's out of favor with that side of the political spectrum, and unfortunately, he is paying the price for it. Both in the court of public opinion, via the media, but also lawfare. So what does he do? He strikes back with a little bit of lawfare of his own against Disney that has called him out publicly, which is interesting. He used to be a fan. He used to go to Space Mountain back before each SpaceX launch. But having seen his kid, his own child, fall victim to this new culture, instituted largely by institutions like Disney, well, now it's his way of fighting back, and I think it's a very interesting moment here.
Well, I personally don't agree with everything that Elon Musk does, and I have a good respect for him for what he's doing, which is, in my opinion, really like housing a platform for everyone to speak. And people who have decided to leave, they've decided to leave, right, on their own. They weren't like, no one, I mean, people have said, told them to leave for whatever reasons. But the people, it was their decision. They weren't kicked off the platform. And that's pretty much, I think, where things get really dangerous is that you don't have a conversation with both sides. So You have just like this group of people are, screaming into the wind, and another group screaming into the wind. Nobody gets together and works anything out, or even like considers the other as a human being. So he's actually providing a platform for just that. I don't know, like, why people have decided to completely go after him with knives at this point. So I feel at this point, the more people go after him with knives, the more other people like him, because they see someone who's being treated unfairly. So I love the fact that he is backing her up. This Gina Carano, in my opinion, is someone who was wronged in a very horrible way and is still expected not to exist. And it was almost like we wish you never to exist again. It's almost like a public, and I hate to say this, like a public execution. She can no longer work anywhere. She can no longer say anything without extreme people coming after her. So she's really in a box right now, and this is her opportunity to tell us what happened behind the scenes in a very detailed way, and maybe have a court of law look at this and see, hey, are some of our civil rights being taken away from us, just for speaking our mind? I thought we were in a free country. So
I can explain why Elon Musk actually made that kind of change. It's started with what happened in 2020 with the pandemic and everything, where everything that closed down and stuff, and his employees not working at the company, so on and so forth. And then he started seeing more of like the censorship that happens, as well as the ideology from the left that's going to rise. So fast forward 2021, 2022, he decides to go ahead and make the decision on buying X, going through a process, and come to find out, I mean, he's starting to support people on the right now, but the thing is, he's himself, I don't even think he really considers himself as somebody who's on the right. I think he's just somebody who's looking to actually abolish censorship, and then try to make freedom of speech free again.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's similar to Russell Brand. Russell Brand is definitely not somebody that's on the political right by any means. But again, something happened in 2020 where people were starting to see, now wait a second, how come we can't even have discussions about things like science when this all is so brand new? A lot of the things that were happening in 2020, they were brand new. They said, okay, we don't really know a whole lot, but we're going to make instantaneous decisions about what we don't know about. That sounded weird. And then guiding the public to say, you have to do this, or you must do this, or else this is going to happen. But yet, they don't have all the information yet. That just sounded weird to a lot of people, and especially people that are very intelligent on the left. Even Bill Maher had issues with that. And I listen to these people, and maybe I don't personally agree with a lot of what they have to say, but they have opened their mind. And I think 2020 opened a lot of minds to saying, hey, everything's not quite the way we thought it was. There's a lot of not truth, or, there's a lot of mixed messages being sent, and people really kind of just want to get to know the truth.
Yeah.
Don't forget Joe Rogan.
Again, Joe Rogan, of course, another one.
George Orwell wrote, "In a time of deceit, telling the truth is a revolutionary act." They have to go after Elon Musk because he provides a voice to the voiceless, whether it be through X or whether it be through Gina Carano. And you can't have that truth out there because so many institutions rely on a narrative or the wool being pulled over the eyes of the masses there. So yeah, of course he's going to be enemy number one, and it's really unfortunate to see. This is kind of why this lawsuit is so pivotal, because it's not so much what Gina Carano might get out of this, but what we all might get out of it if it ends up going to discovery.
Well, this is just the consequence of cancel culture. I mean, cancel culture, like, it was like big back in before 2020 and everything, and still flourish through that and everything. But next thing you know, they decided to go ahead and find any kind of willy-nilly reason. And what was the reason? Her social media posts, as well as like on Twitter. Well, then Twitter, now X. And then, they figured, just go ahead and fire her. But little do they remember, other cast members who are men went on ahead and posted political stuff that were a bit extreme. But the thing is, they were of a particular one-sided bias, if you will. And that right there shows that, they need to fire her because of the fact that she's not following along lines that they want her to follow and stuff. So that way they can continue with the putting out the agenda and everything, as well as to keep the whole ESG and DEI initiatives alive.
The thing is, Gina wasn't going to play the type of ball that they wanted her to
love
play.
that.
And that's the distinction that I like to make, to tell people. I lived 5 years in the Hollywood sewer. And yes, I am going to call it a sewer. I actually lived out there and saw stuff where I'm just like, you have got to be kidding me. When you get these, not Gina, when you get these other celebrities out there who say some of the most outrageous things, it's not about saying it to you. It's virtue signaling for that next job. Hire me because I'm the right type of person that you want. Now, this didn't used to be a problem, I would say, up until 2016. Does anybody remember what happened in 2016? Besides
Something I hope that happened again in 2024.
Besides the Donald
Yeah.
getting elected, you had Ghostbusters 2016.
Right.
Oh yeah.
All right.
It's Ghostbusters 2016.
Okay.
We all want to forget that.
I know we do, but it's important. It's germane to the subject.
It is.
I promise. It is germane to the subject. All right. So those of you, get back into the Wayback Machine. Go back to 2016, okay? Who was on Twitter, called Twitter back then, whining, moaning, bitching, and complaining because some right-wing journalist named Milo Yiannopoulos had the nerve to basically say something that basically, Leslie Jones wasn't that attractive, and the movie Ghostbusters 2016 pretty much sucked.
McCarthy.
Well, she complained to Jack, and this is all in the evidence that Elon's people dug up. Everything to get Milo kicked off of Twitter, and that is what happened. And when that happened, it was game on to kick anybody off of that platform for not saying what they want you to say. It used to be that Twitter was, it's kind of like that dive bar you go to listen hear all kinds of opinions, nobody cared as long as you paid the bill, didn't start any fights. 2016 was when people started that whole cancel culture mentality.
Yep.
It got worse. It got worse. It got worse until the quote unquote summer of love. You guys remember that? Of course, I'll pull it out. BLM. We all remember that, right?
Yep.
Okay. Back during that time, people were coming after Gina to say, you need to support Black Lives Matter. And I'm looking on Twitter, I'm like, she doesn't have to say anything to you, but there's a prove you're not racist by saying that you support Black Lives Matter. I'm like, and it's like a gang of people and bot accounts on Twitter, and they just piling.
That's when everybody's putting the
on
black
her.
box up as their profile photo, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I didn't do that. I'm gonna let you know that right now.
I thought, I was just like that. I was like, that's ridiculous. Because for me, it's just like, who the heck cares? You're on this platform. You say what you want, and you leave it at that. But it was inorganic. Let's put it this way.
What's amazing too?
Amount of vitriol. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bash.
I do apologize. What's amazing too about this is that they didn't, it wasn't just a pressure campaign outside, but actually from within as well, as this lawsuit actually describes in its 59 pages. She details instances where she had to attend struggle sessions, where she had to, attend like re-education seminars and so forth,
Yes.
and correct her ways and so forth. And they were pushing her to apologize online and do all this compelled speech. And it wasn't just pressure like you said from outside, which there was so much of, but to actually experience that inside is simply profound. And that's why I think this has a lot of merit to it, to be quite honest with you.
It really does. And a couple of other things that were in the lawsuit. And I'm actually going to flip over here to kind of show you guys. So this is the actual lawsuit. You can get it off of it's on Deadline. But one of the things that she mentioned in the lawsuit, she had talked about the Zoom call. I think there was a call that she had with some of the two representatives from GLAAD, right? Well, they had a very productive discussion, and those two representatives were just like, we don't see anything wrong. Gina was there. She watched the videos they wanted her to watch, and they came away telling Disney she's not homophobic, at all. But that apparently was not enough for Disney. They wanted her to attend some Zoom call with like 40 plus LGBTQIA Skittles Nation all together, with guess who leading that session? Kathleen Kennedy.
Crazy.
Guess who was scheduled to attend that session? Leslie Headland. Does that name ring a bell? Leslie Headland.
You mean the Monsters assistant?
Yes.
Imagine if they would have done the same type of thing on the opposite spectrum and said, yeah, we're going to call you in, and you need to meet with 40 televangelists of a very particular, mindset persuasion. I mean, I don't understand how that cannot be considered, prejudiced in one direction. I mean, it is. It's
depending on.
How is it not against the law to do that?
Yeah, it is. It is. Here's the thing: it's against the law, but with some corporations are like, yeah, it's against the law, but who's going to believe you? Who's going to believe you over us? Who's going to believe you? That's what an unscrupulous company would do, just like Disney is doing here, hauling somebody in there to have what's called quote unquote struggle session. And further on in the complaint, I mean, I'm not going to go down that part because I actually want to read the complaint in the introduction, because those two you gotta
good. It's
so good. These two things, boom, out of the gate. But anyway, like I was saying, they had, well, you need to show your support for, the transgender, the LGBTQIA employees and, at Disney, and they tell her about this GoFundMe. And she's like, yeah, I'll go out and check it out. So she goes to the GoFundMe. The GoFundMe, allegedly, is run by a Lucasfilm employee. And do you know what it said? Raising this money basically in response to our bigoted actress.
Oh, great! That's
I'll run.
That's gonna get her support.
Bigoted. And when Gina was like, "No, I want to deal with this," and basically said, "You know what? You sent me to that link. They called me bigoted, and it's a Lucasfilm employee." No, it's not a Lucasfilm employee. No. Well, apparently that part about Lucasfilm employee got scrubbed, and bigoted was changed to ignorant.
And Leslie Headland contributed to that, right? Leslie Headland contributed to that GoFundMe.
Yes, she did. She did.
Insane, absolutely disgraceful. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
let's not forget about somebody who's also trying to join in on the class action lawsuit. Roseanne Barr.
That's true.
Yeah, I was going to mention her earlier because that was the first one I really noticed.
I heard of that. Who was the Lucasfilm employee? It is not named in the complaint. That's why discovery is such a wonderful thing. If that happens to happen, man, deposition's gonna be fire. But with all that said, I'm gonna read through the complaint, the introduction, and I'm gonna show you guys a couple more things. I would say, some more background when it comes to this lawsuit, especially with what was going on Twitter/X at the time, because I had a front seat. And back when I was on toxic femininity, this was a recurring subject. And let's just say your girl had to put her foot in the ass of some folks in the official Star Wars account and some of their High Republic authors. I got receipts, I'm gonna show you that. But anyway, Plaintiff Gina Carano, through undersigned counsel, files his complaint for damages and equitable relief against the defendants, the Walt Disney Company, known as Disney, Lucasfilm Limited LLC, known as Lucasfilm, and Huckleberry Industries, Huckleberry collectively, defendants. Apparently, I guess Huckleberry is a studio location or something like that. They're on Lucasfilm's payroll.
So all of these productions are incorporated under their own, their own company, and so Huckleberry does Mandalorian.
Okay. I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Yes, it is trash. They've got a character that's a rock, but I'm sorry, that gave me PTSD thinking about that. Also, if you if you want to hear a really great deep dive into this complaint, page by page, go subscribe to The Legal Mindset. Andrew Esquire. He
definitely
the whole thing. He did a live stream today. I couldn't watch it all because I was working, but he goes through the whole entire plane. So definitely check that out. Short time ago in a galaxy not so far away, defendants made it clear that only one orthodoxy in thought, speech, or action was acceptable in their empire, and those that dared to question or failed to fully comply would not be tolerated. And so it was with Carano. After 2 highly acclaimed seasons on The Mandalorian as Rebel Ranger Cara Dune, Carano was terminated from her role as swiftly as her character's peaceful home planet of Alderaan had been destroyed by the Death Star in an earlier Star Wars film. Why do I think Elon had a part in writing this?
Yeah, it's an official legal filing. It has Elon all over it. It's a very astute point, Lorena. This was amazing. I didn't know this existed. And then I started reading, I'm like, what?
It's better writing than anything Disney's put out.
That's true.
This might actually make the judge smile in the courtroom, or probably in the quarters.
Exactly.
I usually lawsuit introductions are boring and dry as hell, but this one I'm like, oh shoot, okay, saddle in. I like this. So let's see. And all this because she dared voice her own opinions on social platforms and elsewhere, stood up to the online bully mob who demanded her compliance with their extreme progressive ideology. Defendants' wrath over their employees' social media posts also differed depending on sex. And we talked about this. Even though the force is female, shots fired, y'all. The force is female. Who's famous for that phrase?
Kathleen Kennedy wore it on a shirt at a Nike event. Is that right? If I'm not mistaken, right there. So, calling her out directly. This is, like you said,
Darth
KK here for sure.
Yes. Defendants chose to target a woman while looking the other way when it came to men. Yes, indeed. That's why Pedro Pascal is on my crap list. It's short, but he's on it. Let's see. While Carano was fired, defendants took no action against the male actors who took equally or more vigorous and controversial positions on social media. Yeah, Pedro Pascal basically likened conservatives to that supreme national socialist from World War II. Yeah.
1940s Germans.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of them, but, you know.
Yeah, dude with the small mustache. Yeah.
Yes.
I did not see that coming.
His posts were so egregious. Not only did he delete them, but we can't even show them on this show because of the visual iconography. So apparently that's okay, but not okay for Gina Carano.
Yeah, and also Pedro Pascal, you happen to insult a bunch of people in the South, including myself and my ancestors. So, you know, you can suck it. Absolutely. But the rule of law still reigns over the defendant's empire, and Carano has returned to demand that they be held accountable for their bullying, discriminatory, and retaliatory actions that inflicted not only substantial emotional harm, but millions of dollars in lost income. Now, one of the things that Gina is asking for in this lawsuit is to get reinstated.
That one was the most surprising part of it.
I was shocked.
I'm shocked about that too.
If you look at the prayer of relief section, it's the first bullet point.
It's the first one in relief, but it's like I thought about it, and I'm like, well, why would she want to do that?
Right here.
But
number one.
Then I remembered. You guys remember a show that was talked about, a show that was heralded by Kathleen Kennedy called Rangers of the New Republic?
Rangers of the New Republic, her show.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. She was basically going to be the lead in that show. Jon Favreau told her that she would be the lead in that show. That show was not rumored to be, I guess, when they told her 6 years being paid, I think $150,000 to $250,000 an episode. Multiply that by usually, now they're down to like 8 to 12 episodes a season. Add that money up before taxes.
Yep.
And what's also significant about that is that she was only getting paid $25,000 an episode to be on Mandalorian. So this was a huge increase in pay here.
They wouldn't even give her a raise.
They've also, story-wise, left the door open to that. If you saw, there was only one line, but they completely left the door open to that as a possibility.
Yeah.
Right. I would say so. What I love about the introduction to this lawsuit, by the way, is that it's, I just thought about it. It's not only made for the judge's consumption, and he's going to have a fun time with that. I agree with you. Views. He's gonna love that. But it's also made for this kind of public consumption, right? Because the court of public opinion is so vital and important to really establishing a case for Gina Carano going into this, right? If there's enough public support, enough public opinion out there to really support this, it's more likely that it survives motion for dismissal, or goes even further. So I like that aspect about this. Elon knows this well by this time, I'm sure. But I mean, she was promised quite a bit here. This was no small contract, and to have this, taken away, and this lawsuit actually details it quite profoundly. That hey, this was all coming, and then months later, it's all taken away from her, supposedly because of what she said.
And I think that it's not only about the money, but it's also about showing Kathleen Kennedy as well as the rest of Lucasfilm and the Lucasfilm story group that you can't cancel Gina Carano over a few social media posts and stuff because of the fact that you can't just tell her what she needs to say and what she needs to do and everything. If she wins this, she's gonna they're not only gonna force them to bring her back as as Cara Cynthia Doom, but they're gonna bring her back and stuff and give to her everything that was promised. And guess what? She's gonna come right back smiling at them, saying, "You miss me."
Especially after you finish paying me. You finish paying me. But I love how this is structured. I'm gonna step through it. So of course you have preliminary and permanent injunctive relief. If you're requiring defendants to reinstate Carano to her prior position with no loss of pay or benefits, and all back. A judgment declaring that the defendant's termination of Carano's employment was unlawful and in violation of California law. That's a point where it's not about the money, it's about the principle, it's about the message. So that's another one.
Yeah.
You got the compensatory. Oh, I'm sorry, Retro Nerd Girl. I didn't mean.
Oh, no, I'm agreeing. Yeah. No, I'm agreing.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've got the compensatory damages, but not limited to the loss of pay from the date of termination to the date of reinstatement in an amount to be determined at trial, but exceeding $75,000. I talked about the compensatory damages for loss of future employment, including but not limited to the promised role in Rangers of the New Republic in an amount to be determined at trial. Emotional distress damages in an amount to be determined at trial.
Right.
According to Judge Judy and all the court shows that I've seen, emotional distress is hard to prove, but it can be done. You just have to have the
My
record
figure
to,
for the
do it.
emotional distress would be $83 million. Where did I get that from? $83 million.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, well, it's interesting that you should mention that, because that would probably, it would crack me up if they gave her 0 for emotional distress, but hit the bank when it would come to punitive. Punitive damages, that's the thing that buries you, because with punitive damages, that's basically like, okay, you're going to do this, you're going to do this. This is what happens. This is what's going to happen to you.
Understand, folks, that the exceeding 75,000, she's not asking for 75,000. She's asking for more than that. This is just the minimum threshold in which can be filed in this federal court here. So that's a key distinction right here. She could be asking for a lot. She's not asking anything yet, and I think that's crucial to understand as well. The court of public opinion we were talking about. If she comes out with this huge 6-figure, or 7-figure amount listed here, that might dissuade people and be like, well, maybe that's a little too much, gal. Yeah. Come on. This series, who knows if this was even going to be a huge thing, but no, it's like, okay, hey, look, I'm just asking for my job back. I'm asking for just a little bit for the damages that I've suffered, for lost time, and we can go on from there.
And also, it's like, since she's asked for a job back, they're gonna pay her more anyway. That's why she got the whole $75,000 right there. That's just for the additional stuff, like for monetary value and all of that. But as far as more money, like 7-figure, 6-figure, she's gonna get that anyway from the lead role that she's demanding to get back, that was promised to her in the first place.
And one of the things that I love what you guys were talking about, that it doesn't seem like a lot of money, and that was actually smart, because this is more about the principle than anything else. I love that she demands a trial by jury.
Yes, absolutely.
You have to.
Yeah.
You have to. A lot of studios, they take this to arbitration, then they get some arbitrator, who's in their pocket, and we don't know what happens behind the scenes. They usually get railroaded, and that's that, right? A trial by jury is significant for multiple reasons. One, it ensures that it can be somewhat public, and then two, if you take this in front of a jury, I think they're going to be very receptive, right? And here's the thing: California laws, when it comes to protections for talent based on ideological principle, this is a foundational principle that California adopted after the Red Scare of the mid-century, right? So after that, a lot of studios, or I should say, talent union organizers and so forth, enacted various laws in order to protect talent from that happening again. You couldn't just be blacklisted because of your ideological stance or anything. Usually, it was pertaining to the red part of the Red Scare, but this is kind of the flip side of that coming forward in 2024. This is what also makes it a pretty viable case here.
Vash, correct me if I'm wrong. At the time, didn't her agency and management also drop her because of this?
Yeah. Yep. It details in the lawsuit that she was dropped as well.
And she's still facing discrimination based on her comments. People are claiming she's they're not safe with her around.
Right, and this is a big thing. So MegaCon just took place here in Orlando, and she was here, and I didn't get a chance to go this year. I really wanted to. There's some great people there, but what I saw is, and there was some discussion that I saw online where people were still bashing Gina for showing up, for being allowed to be at MegaCon, and that kind of thing. It's why this lawsuit needs to happen when it comes to her reputation being tarnished. And I know that these people may not necessarily be thinking for themselves, but still, you don't need your reputation tarnished simply because you have some ideas that you want to put out there and speak freely.
I would agree.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Speak freely. And I have this, the reason why I have the tweet on the right that Gina dropped yesterday, a bomb informing us that she was suing Disney. And first of all, thank you. We got 50 people in here watching. Thank you so very much. Thank you. Make sure you hit that like. She puts this, and the reason that I have these two side by side, here's Gina's announcement on the right. This is a tweet from me, September of 2020. They were bullying Gina Carano. Props to Data Racer for, he would go out there and accumulate these posts, this hate, this vitriol that they were just throwing at Gina. And I'm like, so because Gina Carano doesn't do what the outrage mob demands she do, she's a transphobe, and they're only calling her ugly because she won't bend the knee to their nonsense. These people are idiots. And you can see, I was like, hashtag I stand with Gina, because I'm like, this is absolutely ridiculous. And then, let's get to Christina Ariel. Anyone familiar with who that is?
Not familiar.
I gotta laugh. No. She writes for the High Republic book series. Okay.
That explains a lot.
Yep.
Yeah. And she basically came out saying that all white people were racist. And people came at her for that, and rightfully so. But when people come at her, she's all like, oh, you shouldn't be coming at me, to the point where the official Star Wars account, and I don't know if it's still there or not. Let's see if it still is. I don't think it's still there. But anyway, daggone it, I lost that. But they were basically saying racism isn't acceptable. And I quote tweeted them and said, it's nice to see you stand behind Christina Ariel, as racist as she is, but you had zero spine when it came to defending Gina Carano. And I remember that was the day Gina liked that post. She followed me, and it was just nuts from there, just seeing how many people are just like, I love her. Thank you so much for saying this. Can't believe the official Star Wars account did not defend her at all, but defended this chick. Also, Justina Ireland, yeah, she blocked me too, because I called them out for the same things. They were calling Star Wars fans racist, calling them toxic, calling them transphobic, just for existing, and even worse, for supporting Gina Carano. But I said, I find this, and I think that's when I really, really got pissed off, and my head just exploded, because I'm just like, you people, you come after Gina, you fire Gina for something she said on Twitter, and yet another one of your people under your employ is blatantly racist towards white people, and you do nothing.
Yeah. In fact, the post that they made on Gina Carano was this: Gina Carano is now currently employed by Lucasfilm, and there are no plans for her to be in the future. Nevertheless, her social media posts denigrating people based on their cultural or religious identities are abhorrent and unacceptable. Here you have that same instance happening here. Nothing for them, but they wanted a virtue signal off of this, which I can understand their mindset, right? Especially from where they come from. However, you don't put the reason why you fire somebody in your statement like that, because obviously anything you say will be used against you. She doesn't even necessarily have to prove that it was for these reasons. They came out and say it, so she's already above that hill there. It's fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. And I gotta say hi to Geeky Sparkles. Was in the chat. Hello, my dear. She said it made me laugh because I'm pretty sure she didn't have pronouns in her bio either, at least at that time. Yeah, she didn't have them.
I mean, she didn't. There was no need for her to have it anyway, because of the fact that she didn't. You don't have to have pronouns in your bio just to support that particular community. I mean, just that's just for showing face and everything because of the fact that that's going to puff up one ideology as well as to show how you're in with the in crowd, and not to mention, see if you are part of the actually part of the Hollywood elites. Gina Carano proved that she didn't want to be a part of Hollywood elites, and also they come to find out she wasn't prejudiced, like she wasn't standing out against anyone. But then she also started showing that she started standing out against censorship as well as bullying. And that's it.
Absolutely. And you, since you have to dip out, let's give you the last word on this Gina Carano lawsuit. Do you think she's going to be successful? And what do you think? What do you think the fan response, say, projecting a couple months down the line? What do you think the fan response is going to be?
Fan response is just going to be pretty simple. Fans are just going to want her. That like when more people hear about this whole thing with the lawsuit and everything, what she wants and stuff, they're going to be happy. They're going to really want to go ahead and just go ahead and hope for her to win even further because of the fact that they want to see her play Cara Dune again. They don't want her replaced by someone else or anything. And I guarantee you that they're not going to replace her because they want to go ahead and take the franchise itself into a different direction, back to the High Republic. Okay, and the fact of the matter is that if she wins this, you might actually get more people to come back and everything. And then it's another loss for Kathleen Kennedy, another loss for Bob Iger, possibly a win for Jon Favreau, but I'm not sure because of the fact that they're still trying to take this away from him, And then it's like, then you're going to have more celebrities who were possibly fired by Disney and everything, for example, to come forward and go ahead and be a part of this class action lawsuit. And I'm not sure if Roseanne's going to want the job back, her role as Roseanne, because of the fact that she now has her own platform where she's actually able to speak freely. But as far as Gina Carano is concerned, like everybody want her to go ahead and win the case itself. Because of the fact that she lost a lot of stuff, but at the same time, she didn't really care too much about what she's lost. But she's gained a new favor from newfound fans, as well as seeing the fact that she has a higher leg in this particular situation.
Very good. Very good. Well, folks, make sure you subscribe to Views with Hughes. I've got his link in the description box of this video. Thanks so much for joining us, Hughes. Can't wait to see you again, my dear.
Take care, Hughes.
I'm not going to convince y'all to follow me. I'm just going to have to try my best to earn your subscriptions, okay?
You got it, Hughes.
Thank you.
Take care.
Take care.
So good. I love it, babe. You got the sound effects. I need a new toy. I need that. I need that.
I need one of those.
Oh, so thankful for all of you guys in here. I sure do appreciate it. I see it. There's so many people in the chat, and I'm so thankful for you all being here. This is the Spice Lounge podcast. We just throw around some spicy conversations, extremely hot takes. And he's quote unquote retired, but I bring him on my channel every now and then, so you can see him. He's not really retired. He's not retired for YouTube. Steel Leg of History, a member for 21 months. Thank you so very much, my dear. Just thanks for your support and kindness. I'm now walking, no crutches anymore, and I'm enjoying working again on my channel. Feels good to work again. 266 subs. Well, that is awesome to hear, Steel Leg of History, and so glad. You're so inspirational. Let me tell you.
Absolutely.
And if I didn't, hopefully, Mark, I didn't miss this one. I bet Gina wasn't alone. This will be class action. I've heard some rumblings out there, because if Gina comes out, who's all of the unnamed, let's say, actors and actresses that you have not heard about?
Yeah, they may be afraid to come out because then they'll reveal what really happened behind closed doors. But this is something that they've been doing, it seems, and not only in Hollywood but also in institutions, where they kind of gang up on people and say, "Well, you're not sensitive enough, and here here's a program for you to follow so you can learn about other cultures. And usually it's just about people saying, you know, you're racist, you're racist, you're racist. And it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, I've never, you know, I've been around for a long time, so I've never heard of this kind of horrible way of trying to like brainwash people, or even like force people, bully people into being the way that you want them to be. Like, yes, I think I have a certain way of thinking, but I don't expect everyone else to be that way or have a different, like, I have certain things that are morally centered for myself. I don't expect everyone else to fall in line. And same thing with like religious beliefs. We all, different people have different religious beliefs. Some don't have any at all. That is the beauty of being in a free country, or in a free world, if you will, where we can all have our differences, celebrate those things, and not be endlessly criticized, endlessly bullied into doing the thing that you want to do. Now, I know in Hollywood, it is about the bullying. I read a story about The View this morning where Joy, I forgot her last name,
Behar
got on or was arguing with one of her coworkers. Hey, you have not put in your endorsement for Joe Biden yet. And I'm like, that is not your business. You're bullying her into putting words into her mouth and becoming something that she doesn't feel like she's ready for just yet. Give people the freedom to be themselves and not impose what you think is the morally right thing to do. And that is the battle that we're having right now. And it's scary because, you know, there's a group of people, I don't know, you know, that live on a mountaintop that decides this is what everybody is supposed to think. And I don't want to live in that kind of a world. I want us all to be able to speak our minds, even if we don't agree.
Absolutely. And again, it's like I hate bullies. And you see what's been going on since 2016. Now the pendulum is swinging the other way. It's no longer cool to try to cancel someone because people have seen the mask be pulled off, so to speak, and they see the damage that's going on. It's way past, you know, you voted for someone, so yeah, okay, whatever. Or, you know, I don't like your opinion, but you know, it's cool. Or just I don't think that, oh, well, I don't like that person, so I'm not going to watch their show. Now it's like, go dig into their tweets for the past 15, 20 years, call their employers, name them, shame them, it is ridiculous. And what people have been doing of late is standing up to this. Like, no, it's ridiculous. Go ahead, Ron. Sorry.
Well, I was just going to say, I think another thing that's brought more awareness lately to this is, I think, like for me, for years and years, whatever the left, whatever, we don't care. Most people just kind of said, do what you want, we don't care. Right. And most people don't really, honestly, the majority of people don't want to pay attention to politics and contention and all that. We don't, you know, they just want to be entertained. But in the last few years, they've started going after kids. They've started trying to push ideology on children, and families recognize that immediately. They're like, wait a second, you want my 11-year-old to do what? You want my third grader to do what? You want my kindergartner to do what? No. And I crossed a line with a lot of people that were not paying attention, and that has opened up a floodgate to the things that people are paying attention to now that they weren't necessarily before, because you started attacking the one thing that all parents hold precious, and that is our children.
Absolutely, 100%. And Disney, again, Disney's already on the crap list because they had the nerve to tell the state of Florida and parents in the state of Florida and the will of the voters in the state of Florida that how dare you want to govern your own lives? Don't you know who we are? We're Disney. You owe your existence to us. And I thought that was the most, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. When you go back and you see, you know, the line that Chapek did, the way that like Iger went after, you know, after the governor, and people are like, this is not California. Florida is not California. Florida has, I want to say, 40 other counties besides Orange County and that small part of Osceola County. And you're talking about protecting a park that a good percentage of Floridians can't afford to visit.
Isn't it ironic how Iger was criticizing DeSantis and the state of Florida for having attacked them based on First Amendment grounds when they themselves were doing that internally with people that were under their employ? It's a little confession through projection right there, I would say.
Absolutely. Great point.
On the Mark Daly saying that it was going to be a class action lawsuit, you know, it's interesting. Andrew Esquire had a differing opinion, suggesting that Elon might actually make these separate lawsuits in order to get the number of lawsuits to be as high as possible. It's one thing to say, well, Disney has a big class action versus, well, Disney has 30 cases against them filed by all these different parties for various reasons. So I thought that was like, ooh, that's an interesting take on it. I didn't necessarily realize that. You have to figure this is one of the richest men on the planet. He can bankroll something like that.
Yeah, and I find it, and it's interesting that Andrew mentioned that, because I thought about that too. You have noticed the uptick in lawsuits. I call them the slip and fall lawyers. They are Morgan and Morgan. Chasers, they're a huge, they're a huge personal injury law firm. I have noticed more lawsuits linked to Disney with representation from Morgan and Morgan, and it doesn't seem to be one here, one here, one here. No, it seems to be a lot of them. And Disney makes the mistake, and Bob Iger makes the mistake of thinking that Florida is California. California, they had to actually be above board to get Disneyland set up, because they always have to wind up fighting with the city of Anaheim. You notice they're much more conciliatory towards the city of Anaheim, where opposed to when it came to Florida, they basically stole that land. And it was no secret how, when word got out, because they didn't know, it's like, who's buying all this land in the middle of a swamp in Orange County? They just got like orange groves and stuff up here. Who's buying all this land? And my mom said it was like the news are trying to figure out who the heck is buying up all this land. And they find out that it was Disney, and not only that Disney bought that land, but what they could do now that they bought it. And how they were not doing it.
I think it was an article in 1966 issue of Orlando Sentinel, I believe, that found out, and then they had to hold the press conference on Project X. It was a very ironic thing, but you know, the real devious part about it wasn't so much the the shell corporations buying up this land under various identities. That's shady on its own. I think the bigger one though is pitting what is it? I'm forgetting the Mineral King area against the Central Florida area in terms of getting the best deal out of it, and saying, well, we can only do one project. Who's it's gonna be? Who's gonna concede to us more? That one, I think, was really underhanded and provided the foundation for which the RCID was built on.
Are you trying to say that Disney has a history as a corporation of being a little underhanded sometimes?
Well, tell me. I'll tell you the story about how they got the Jack Rather Corporation and the deals that they did to do that, and pitted the cities against each other in that instance in Disneyland Resort. That's a whole other thing.
or why there's Bonnet Creek in the middle of the Walt Disney Resort. Why is there a Hilton and a Waldorf Astoria? Why is there a Bonnet Creek Resort that has no list?
That's the last little bit of land where the owner found out and was holding out.
Yep.
There it is.
Exactly. And I tell you, again, Florida is not California. Most Floridians do not have a high opinion of Disney, and outside Orange County, they're just like, why should we? Why should we care? Why should we care about Disney? But the reason is, when it comes to Central Florida, when it comes to the mayor of Orange County, who's talking about trying to increase the sales tax or divert money from the sales tax from tourism to various art projects around the county instead of putting it in things that we need, like roads and more cops, because people just keep speeding down I-4 when it's not clogged. Of course, we have the Disney earnings call. Bob Iger prepares to fend off activists as streaming finances improve, and I got a freaking laugh. Did you guys listen to the call?
I did. That's one way to word losing 1.3 million subscribers. That's something right there. That's a way of doing it. Yes, their ARPU slightly improved, their average revenue per user. But what undergirds this whole thing is a debt load that won't be overcome for quite some time, even though it might enter the realm of profitability soon. We'll see. That still doesn't necessarily overcome the immense amount of investment into this area of their business, at the expense, by the way, of the revenue that they could have had if they had stayed in the broadcasting game, theatrical game, and so forth, and not have these things be loss leaders for their streaming service.
Yeah, because it turns out that the streaming service. And some of you guys are asking if you can watch the call. I'll put the link actually in the chat where you can go to that page and you can see the earnings report. And you can also get to the link to the rebroadcast of the call.
The replay just posted. So
yeah, I kept like refreshing it. Like,
I know, me too.
Is it working? But one of the things that I mentioned, and thank you so much for that, Kiss My Grits. I sure do appreciate that, for that $10 super chat. I'm gonna get that in a minute. They talk about, we had this improvement in streaming. Well, that was for people subscribing to Hulu, not Disney Plus. Hulu subscriptions went up. Disney Plus subscriptions went down. And I know I dumped Disney Plus because of how much they wanted. I'm like, screw this. I'll just keep Hulu, because I've had Hulu for like 15 years. The ads don't bother me, but I've had it for so long. I get use out of Hulu. I mean, granted they're subtitled, but once the anime gets off of Crunchyroll, it goes to Hulu. So it's like I'm always getting my money's worth out of Hulu, and always have. Disney Plus, no, not so much, but I find that interesting how they didn't really talk about just what it was that increase. They didn't talk about it on the call. It's in the report though. Kiss My Grits for $10. Thank you so much, my dear. I love that avatar. There was so much gaslighting by Iger in the earnings call that I'm enraged. Oh, tell me about it. FYI, the director of Moana 2 was the head of story for Strange World. Enough said. Restore the Magic needs to happen now. And yeah, so much gaslighting. So you guys hear the part where, what is it they talked about? Like, they got asked a question about the films, why the films weren't doing so well.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Bash, I'll let you explain that one.
Well, yeah, okay. So you know what? I got to bring up my chart, actually, interestingly enough.
Oh, wow.
But he was asked about why the films aren't doing well, because honestly, it's a talking point that Peltz has actually included in his Restore the Magic campaign. We heard his comments on the last Spice Lounge, actually, talking about the underperformance of Disney's products, including their studios division, most certainly their films. And if I could just go ahead and present my screen right here, if that'll work. Right here, you can actually see their performance. And it's not good. It's not good, y'all. There's a lot of red on that chart. And the only one that was actually of any achieved any amount of profitability on this chart is Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 at $5 million. But according to my estimates, they have lost anywhere exceeding amount of $1 billion, about 1.2 by my estimate right there, based on various factors related to the film industry and M&A and so forth. But they have underperformed in this category severely. Iger knows this. He understands that, look, the creative engine has stalled a little bit. And if we have to keep creating content for all of our, the delivery methods, whether it be streaming, theatrical, what have you, then it's probably best that we go into sequels, right? Sequels, at least they get people in the door. It might not necessarily keep them in the seats. It might necessarily, achieve profitability, but at least it has a built-in demand, a built-in audience. And so it's like, okay, let's get away from the Wishes and the Strange Worlds. Let's go into Moana 2. And that's why they are investing in that, and we'll get into that more in a moment, I'm sure. But when he references on the call is, our film division did very well. What are you talking about? What about Avatar 2? And it's like, okay, that was part of the 2022 film slate, not the 2023 film slate. You don't want to bring that up because, well, it didn't work out so well. Interestingly, if you follow this link right here, I have both the 2023 and 2022 film slate right here. Yes, Avatar was very profitable, but you can see right here, they still lost money because of the enormous losses that they incurred with not only Lightyear, but Strange World itself. Strange World had a story that was just added as the director. I believe it's David G. Derrick is going to be your director for Moana 2, adapted from a Disney Plus series to an actual film.
Unbelievable.
Goofy should have walked out on stage at that point in time and been like, gosh, no, I promise everybody, it's going great. Oh, yeah.
It's going all right. It's fine.
Nice impression.
I know. And then I'm like, oh, shoot. I mean, you could hear the, we had some movies that performed good. Remember Avatar? That was good. And, we've had some challenges, but, you have to point out the ones you did good at. I'm just like, dude, they already know your movies suck. And I'm glad somebody asked that question. Just the amount of spin that he did. It's just like, do you believe your own words? I mean, you're trying to, and I'm not convinced. And I'm like, that's where he goes. So Iger did not even address the fact of how many box office bombs that they have been dropping like crazy. It's not a one-off. It used to be with Disney. Yeah, they had a couple, semi-bombs here and there, but everything else was pretty much up to par. You expect that. Can't bat 1,000 every single time.
Sure.
But it is a constant pattern of failures. Star Wars, the MCU, Pixar films that should have been a home run.
Yeah.
That
we all know why, though. It's so simple. If you're a writer and you're distracted by how do I get my message and my activism,
it's not even their activism either. That's the other part.
I know.
They're told to do this. They're
exactly
to do this. It's not even their idea.
You can't be creative when you're under that pressure.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get to that too. Just exactly why they're under that kind of pressure to do what it is. It's like it's art by committee. How does that work?
Alan Ng's D-files, by the way, that he's been doing on Film Threat, have been really, really profound because it details all of this in excruciating detail about just how much by committee that phrase actually means. I mean, it is astounding just how much the creative has been robbed or has just been excised from this company. It's crazy. And Bob knows this. This is why he's doubling down on Moana 2, Zootopia 2, Toy Story 5, and so forth.
Yeah, and his response to this really should have been very honest. Like, yes, we've had some tankers. We are really struggling to get this right. There may have been some empathy, but also the arrogance of trying to spin it is like, don't trust this guy. It's like you immediately just like, okay, he is full of, the stuff, and nobody believes in him anymore. And we doubt. We don't even know if for sure he just was lucky in the past or what, because whatever the formula is that's going on Disney, it's not just Star Wars, not just MCU stuff. It's like across the board. They're implementing a formula that is not working, and they will not get off that high horse.
No, because Disney will not admit failure. They will not admit failure. I tell people, put it to you like this. They are so invested in not admitting failure, they'd rather burn Star Wars down to the ground and sell it. It's not, perhaps the Eisner era probably of Disney, you might get something, like that, but I think more latitude would have been given to him, considering that most Disney movies were doing pretty relevant. I don't want to talk about Cinderella 3, but for the most part, that's why everybody's laughing. But for the most part, the company was very conciliatory and knew its audience. Now it's just like, screw you guys.
No idea.
Keep giving us money.
They're trying to create the audience, is what it is.
Yes.
And the thing is that the people that they are trying to connect with don't go to see their stuff. They don't go to see their stuff. Where were they for Mandalorian 3 after they got rid of Gina? Like, that should have, the numbers should have been through the roof, because they had made the ultimate sacrifice and fired one of their best people. And they suffered, and they suffered, and they will continue to suffer until they say, look, the most important thing right now is the story of what we're presenting and not anything else. Besides, as long as you are not kicking and screaming at other people and being respectful to other people on set, you have a place here. And that is basically it. Just create a working environment for the people to do their jobs and produce stories that actually feel like real stories we can get into. This stuff is not working.
And it's great that you make that point, Retro Nerd Girl, because this blew my mind. I mean, Moana 2, yeah, I'm like, why the frick do we even need that? But, okay, they pull it out the can, whatever, But Taylor Swift's Eras Tour concert film to stream on Disney Plus with 5 new songs. Can you say our streaming service sucks any harder? And how much is this IP gonna because this is just one. I'm gonna get to another investment in a minute.
They must have paid her a fortune. Valiant estimated around $200 million for the T-Swift license. I don't necessarily doubt that. She made buku bucks off of this when it hit theatrical. She knows she is the hottest name in media right now. So she's being pushed pretty hard by various interested parties. But I mean, this must have been it's a big check, and that's kind of the ironic thing about these announcements today. We'll get into more of them, but the bulk of them, outside of Moana 2, all of them, if you exclude Moana 2, were all other people's IP. We're all other people's content innovation creation.
Because they no longer have the ability to actually green light something and produce it without sticking their hands in it. Like, Taylor Swift has already made all of her box office money and pocketed all for herself. They're getting the tail. And look, there are going to be the Swifties who are going to be like, oh, we can always watch this on Disney. It's fine. Okay. But this is, from what it looks like, is it a licensing deal, or did they buy it? Do they own it now?
I think it's a licensing a licensing deal. And the reason why I say licensing deal, because Taylor Swift had the deal with AMC. Then the Eras Tour showed up on the Amazon service. So now it's going to show up on Disney Plus with 5 new songs. I think if I was smart, there's no way I'd let Disney own my content. It's like you
Yeah.
can rent it from me for a while, but all this is going to do is bump the Disney Plus numbers up temporarily because
Yeah.
people will subscribe to see it, and then when they're done, they'll cancel it, and Disney will probably come after them like they did when I dumped Disney Plus and said, "Hey, come back for $2.39 for the next 3 months, including ads." And I'm just like, yeah, okay, for $2. I mean, it's still overpriced, but for $2, I'll come back. That's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
They're going to subscribe, they're going to leave, and this is just a band-aid because the fact that Disney Plus hardly has any real content on it outside of the classic stuff, the Imagineering story, and Bluey.
Yep. And we have to remember there were strikes last year, and all that's affecting what we're seeing this year. They have nothing. So this Moana 2 is like, wow, what are you doing? I mean, and I would not be surprised if Chat GPT is involved. It's just saying.
to pivot a film like this or a series like this into a film in this short amount of time, I don't know how they expect this to be good. I mean, we already saw the rush job that was Wish. We think the head of story for Strange World's going to be able to pull this off. You got to be out of your mind.
I know. It was traumatic.
Look, maybe they were able to do this to Toy Story 2 when you had juggernauts in there like John Lasseter and Andrew Stanton and everybody related to Pixar to pull moves like this off. These people don't exist inside the company anymore.
Yeah, you're so right.
Yeah, this is what I'm thinking too as well, Kiss My Grits. It'll be rushed into production and be poor quality because that was my big thing about Wish. If you want a comparison, and we actually talked about this because we did a watch party of The Princess and the Frog.
Oh, yeah.
Okay? You watch that, the animals move how they're supposed to. The animation is just beautiful. The lighting, the shading, the movement, everything. It's very kinetic product. Wish was like totally flat.
Oh, no.
No life to it. Even the horses couldn't run the way that they were supposed to. And I believe Alan Ng had mentioned something that basically with the animators, because of the lack of experience, it's like, you don't know how to draw a horse. I'm sorry. That's Disney Animation 101, where they had to sit there and study how the animals would move and behave and then make that into lifelike animation.
And this is precisely why they want to work with AI so badly, because AI within possibly a year or two will be able to completely animate all of these things very realistically. It's already doing astounding things, and they're rubbing their hands together and saying, yeah, we need digital creative minds to come up with this stuff instead of actual artists. And when you look at something, we recently saw Snow White, which we saw how beautifully it was done. The art is just incredible, a feast for your eyes. And so, not to say that AI art doesn't look like, there's not soul in a lot of them. You can tell what it is right away. It's getting better. And so that is why they're trying to invest in this stuff. This is insane because a lot of people are going to be out of work, and artists will be very, very hard to come by. A lot of people won't even train as an artist because they'll just do everything digital.
But I think AI will always remain. It's a feeling you get when you watch something, when you see it. It's soulless. And even if it's not a feeling you recognize, it's kind of in the back of your mind. There's something not quite off. It's like tasting synthetic food. Why is there something? I don't know. It's the same but different.
Yeah.
Princess and the Frog was directed by I believe John Musker and Ron Clements, right? Supervising animation from Mark Hinn, who did Tiana. Eric Goldberg, very synonymous with the Disney Renaissance, especially for his work on the Genie in Aladdin, was the supervising animator for Lewis. Those guys are gone. And if you say you're going to, replicate these, these amazing talents with something like AI, that's not going to work. But I would also counter that the people inside don't hold the talent that these guys held in their one pinky, by comparison. And that's just where we are. So this is why I'm really worried about these sequels. Is yes, it's the safer bet, but you could really do some long-standing damage to your franchises, the last ones that are even viable, especially one with Moana, which has been a streaming sensation ever since put on the platform. I think Iger quoted 1 billion watch minutes or something like that. It's just astoundingly popular. You could do damage to this very, very quickly, and that's not even including the live action take that's still coming out, I suppose.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it relates to it and has to do with when I was at Epcot earlier today. Asha, I think is her name, from Wish.
Asha, yes.
Asha. So she's appearing live at Epcot. I barely noticed her. Somebody said something, but nobody recognized who the heck she was. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because I remember in 2013 there was a meet and greet with Anna and Elsa before Frozen came out. It was a very small meet and nobody knew who they were at the time. And this was in Norway, and they actually did the meet and greet in part of the store in Norway. Now, a week after Frozen came out, the line, all of a sudden, it was like 300, 400 people in line to see Anna and Elsa. And the meet and greet went from nobody knew her to it's crazy. With Asha, Wish has been out for 2 months. Still, nobody knows who it. By the way, tons of Wish merchandise, and I pointed that out in the vlog that I have coming up. But nobody's buying the merchandise.
No, the merchandise is sitting there. They brought Asha to Epcot. I think the opening week of the Arts Festival. I was like, the movie's been out for I don't know how long. This is kind of why is this going on?
Yeah,
it's just there's no
enthusiasm.
Exactly. That's it. There's no enthusiasm for the new stuff. The enthusiasm is for the older things that people remember. And speaking of older things, there was a time when Disney could actually do video games, right? Guess what else Iger spending money on?
$1.3 billion into Epic Games.
Yes, Epic Games, the maker of that game I can't stand called Fortnite. But I know it's just gonna break y'all heart, but no, I don't like Fortnite. I don't. I should be able to roll around on my own with a gun and blow up as many gas stations as I want to by bumping into them. I should be able to do that all day if I want to. But Epic Games has a product called Unreal Engine. Yes, that is the rendering software to create video games. That's a good portion of how Epic Games makes their money. Disney will be using Unreal Engine to create expansive and open games and entertainment universe connected to Fortnite. I don't want to connect to freaking Fortnite. Okay, I really don't. And I'm glad CJ brought this up. They just made Dreamlight Valley to try and compete with Fortnite. Now they're just buying them out. The thing is, Dreamlight Valley is made by Gameloft. And yeah, Dreamlight Valley has been, for the most part, a huge success. I play that game like every daggone day. I mean, that's how I made my 100 million in gold coins, because I'm like Scrooge McDuck, and I actually made Scrooge McDuck's first dime. I actually have that. That game is so full of Disney magic. I love it, and that's why it's so popular, because they've done their research, all the different parts of Disney lore. They put it in the game, and that's what makes the game so popular. But yeah, so now they're going to do this. They're going to go through Epic Games. So I don't really see this as a real competitor to Dreamlight Valley, because that's something that's different and more like a girls' game, as somebody said. But with this, they want to connect it to Fortnite. And I'm like, yeah, there's no rhyme or reason with Fortnite. It's not a game that I would let any of my kids play if they were under 13. That's just me.
I happen to not know anything about Fortnite.
You're not missing anything, really. You're not missing anything.
It's all new
Play
Master
Call of
69's
Duty
fault.
instead. Yes. Play Call of Duty instead. But with this, so they're basically investing $1.5 billion to do this. And I can't remember the last Disney video game venture that actually did well, except for I think Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, Kingdom Hearts.
And that was Square Enix.
What was
I think they just needed something named Epic to compete.
That's a good point.
Well, that's interesting you say that, Ron, because I would say their previous foray into this was actually Epic Mickey, if anybody remembers that game.
I do.
Right? And so they got to go back into the Epic stuff, right? Here's the interesting thing about Disney and video games. They have tried and they have failed multiple times over the long decades. They have tried this, and every single time it's like, okay, we failed. Let's roll it back. Let's go into licensing. And they see how much licensing money they're making, and they say, ooh, we got to get into video games. And they get into video games, and then they fail, and they go back to licensing, and then and this cycle repeats itself. It's interesting. Disney used to have their own video game division.
Yes,
Does anybody remember what that was called?
Was it? Oh shoot!
Disney Interactive. Right, you got it. And what happened to Disney Interactive? Why don't we hear about it anymore?
Didn't they shut that down?
They incorporated it into consumer products. Now, why would they do such a thing? Because Disney Interactive kept losing money quarter after quarter after quarter after quarter. And in order to avoid having to disclose that, they just incorporated it into another division. And now that's all gone away. So I've seen this song and dance before. I don't think it'll be any different from the previous times. The one time they had a real chance to really do something in the gaming space was when they bought Lucasfilm, because they bought LucasArts with it. And what was the first thing they did, Lorena?
Well, they shut that down, didn't
they? They shut it down before they even got rid of the Expand Universe. They shut down LucasArts. This amazing video game maker that had created such amazing titles, Jedi Outcast, Knights of the Old Republic, Dark Forces, TIE Fighter. The list is endless from the 90s and early 2000s.
I remember TIE Fighter, shoot.
Oh, TIE Fighter was awesome. You remember the tattoos, man? Tattoo got so large, take up the whole body. Anyway, look that up, folks.
I like to play the original Phantom Menace game.
Right?
I played it over and over again.
They were historic.
I got that accidentally for free when I bought a computer, and it was stuck in the CD box. It was awesome, though. I love that game. I spent hours on it.
They used to make some of the best games ever, and they bought this, and it was like, oh, this is an amazing asset. One would think, and they were already working on a game. I can't remember what it was called, but it was this bounty hunter game in the depths of Coruscant, open world, very, very cool, very, very ambitious. They shut it all down. So.
Wow.
They've tried and failed.
Yeah, they have, because doing video games is also a story. You always have a story that's going on, and for some reason, Disney video games kept missing the mark. At least the ones coming from direct from Disney. Flip that around, and you have the people who license Disney content, like Gameloft, like Square Enix. Okay, they do Disney games, and they just take off. I mean, people cannot get enough of them because I think it's because, actually I know, because they actually respect the Disney lore and they know that that's what gamers want to experience. So when I'm playing, Dreamlight Valley, I want to see the Fab Five. I want to go to Scrooge's store. I want Scrooge to give me investment advice. I want to meet Ariel as a mermaid. Eventually, she's a real person. I get to meet Jack Skellington. I can't freaking stand Gaston. He's an a-hole, but they made him an a-hole in the game, and it was perfect because it was dead on, just how he was supposed
Now,
to be.
Lorena, Gaston, I resemble that remark.
Fantastic.
Ron auditioned for Gaston, actually.
I played Gaston in the Broadway version for a while, but not on Broadway.
Nice. I mean, it's just Disney. They can't do video games. And honestly, if I was an Epic Games developer and I got put on this Disney project, I'd want to run and run fast. I don't see that. I can't see that going very very well. But yeah, I could just dump the $1.5 billion into it, and that probably stopped them from laying some people off. But
well, we will see. I mean, the early trading on this, I believe it jumped about almost like $10 or something. It was huge. I think it's like 105, 107. It looks like in early trading. We'll see when the market's open tomorrow. We'll see what that's like.
Yeah, because we got futures trading going on right now.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but I'm sorry, I'm just not convinced. This is more of like a partnership too. This isn't really a buyout. It's a $32 billion company, as Lou Wasserman's Ghost eloquently put in the chat. I'm just not anticipating anything big from this. I understand that Fortnite's the hottest thing on the planet right now, but video game trends, they don't last forever.
No, when every freaking property is been dumped into Fortnite, and it's just like, really, you can't have your own lore, like Assassin's Creed, or like oh gosh, oh my gosh, I just totally forgot the game when I said that. Like Modern Warfare, like Call of Duty, like Halo. There's a lore that comes with that.
Right.
And I don't see this. So it's like, yeah, Disney just basically said, yeah, we'll cut you a $1.5 billion check. You make us something. We'll come out with it. But I'm not. I will be watching this, of course. Fortnite, there's a ton of issues going on when it comes to Fortnite. So we shall see. I think they did this for shock value. We got to do something. Epic Universe got announced. Guess what? Everybody knows Fortnite, but I'm telling you, as soon as they announced this, I bet you every gamer just rolled their eyes like, you have got to be freaking kidding me. This is what they do.
Yeah.
This is what they do. I'm just like, I got Dreamlight Valley. I'm happy.
I mean, this looks like strategy for like, okay, we need something to make the news because we've got nothing. And I noticed with Disney, they've done this time and time again. They've announced projects even that they're not even planning on releasing or even making, and it's just to make themselves relevant in the news. So
I remember when the Avatar experience was coming. I'm still waiting on that, by the way. That was at the first quarterly earnings call that Bob Iger participated in when he first took back the company reins from Chapek.
And you think, well, this is a big corporation. Disney is a well-organized machine, or well-oiled machine. That this should be something that has already, they're like 80% done, and they're announcing this stuff. No, they're announcing a lot of the stuff in the idea phase, or in many cases, we already know that it's almost improbable that these things aren't going to come to fruition.
It's like all the blue sky at D23.
Yeah, it's vaporware. It's vaporware. And Florentin, I like you said, instead of Play Pavilion, yeah, they mothballed that real quick. where the play pavilion was supposed to be at Epcot. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Ron.
Yeah.
Wonders of Life
Yeah,
Pavilion.
it's. Hey, I have a great idea for Wonders of Life Pavilion. I think that they should do a completely new version of Journey into the Imagination with Figment and move it to Wonders of Life so that it's part of World Discovery, and then take the current Imagination Pavilion and make it something about light so that it actually has to do with nature because it looks like a giant prism anyway. But they'll never listen to my ideas.
No, because the fans are toxic.
It's too good. That's why they'll never do
They're
it.
haters. And so if you have a contribution or you have anything to say that is like, oh, maybe we should be doing this, or maybe you should be doing this, it's looked at, it's criticism and hate. I don't get it.
It's true.
Yeah, I don't either. But something we can definitely criticize. Why does Disney? I'm saying this rhetorically, but we know why. Why does Disney all of a sudden think that their shareholders are stupid?
This is so funny. Oh god!
Go ahead, Bash.
This is this is really something right here. So we're gonna use our iconic characters for, the old Paul Frees, I believe, voiced Ludwig von Drake going back and I think like the 50s, I believe. I'm recalling my Disney history. I do apologize, guys. We're going to utilize this for a shareholder investment program to talk about how you should vote with the white cards instead of the blue cards. I mean, they must think investors are idiots. To your point, Lorena, this is absolutely insanity.
I gotta give credit where credit is due, and I'm glad if Geeky's still here to chat. I saw this post from Neon, and it said, "Wow, Disney is very desperate. Remember to vote white, kids." Disney treats shareholders like children in cringe voting video. Now, as a shareholder in Disney, okay, I get a notice from my broker every year before, when voting opens for proxy voting, because I get that from like all the stocks that I own. Before there's a shareholders meeting, you'll be, hey, we need you to share your proxy. We need you to vote your proxy, because if you don't vote your proxy, somebody else in the company will be designated to vote your proxy for you. I'm like, I don't want somebody voting for me. I'll do it myself. Disney does the same thing. E-Trade sends me a lovely electronic communication that says proxy voting is open. Here's your control number. Here's the site that you go to, and you can see all the documentation that the Walt Disney Company has for you. This is nothing new. Pretty much every stock that's listed does this when it's time to vote your proxy. So why is it all of a sudden Disney thinks that because Mr. Peltz, Trian Group, and I guess the Blackwell Group, because they filed proxies that they want board seats. They're probably not going to vote the way that we want them to. So I know what we're going to do. We're going to make this cringe video. I'm just going to play it. I'm just going to play it for y'all, because I don't know what I'm more angrier at. This dumbass video. Fact that they use some of my favorite Mary Blair shots from Cinderella, from Sleeping Beauty in it. Trust, just watch. Oh my god, that's weird, right?
Okay, the 100th anniversary castle. Gotcha.
Friends, relatives, and esteemed chairman, you're probably wondering what we're all doing here today. Now, let's begin.
Whoa, Professor Ludwig von Drake, slow down there. On April 3rd, the Walt Disney Company will be hosting its annual meeting of shareholders, and we need you to all vote for your board. Over the coming weeks, you'll be receiving your voting materials relating to the white proxy card. You may see them even sooner if you had consented to receiving them by email, so keep a watch on your inbox. Professor Ludwig, why don't you tell us...
Today we're going to use the Van Drake method.
Professor Ludwig, they don't vote using those kinds of cards. Voting is easy. You can vote electronically or by good old-fashioned mail. Note that if you type in the website address, you'll be asked to provide the control number shown on the white proxy card, so be sure to have it handy. If you access the website using the QR code on the white proxy card or the white Vote Now button on your email, no control number will be needed. Please vote all of your shares in all of your accounts. Each account will have a separate control number specific to the white proxy card. All electronic votes have to be submitted no later than 11:59 p.m. on April 2nd, 2024. If you hold shares in the Disney Employee Plan, please note the earlier voting deadline indicated on your white voting instruction form. Remember, it's important you vote only for Disney's 12 nominees using the white proxy card. Do not vote for the Trian Group or Blackwell's nominees. Voting this year is critical, no matter how many or how few shares you may own. Professor Ludwig, what should the shareholders do with their blue and green proxy cards?
Yes.
He's on the phone.
I do not need the extended warranty.
Well, shareholders may simply discard them. Please do not use the blue or green proxy cards.
A difficult question for the professor?
Thank you, Professor. I think our shareholders are now well informed on how to vote for their board. Remember, it's important you vote only for Disney's 12 nominees using the white proxy card. Do not vote for the Trian Group or Blackwell's nominees. We thank you for supporting Disney. If you have any questions about voting your shares, please call our proxy solicitor, Innisfree M&A Incorporated. From Professor Ludwig von Drake and I, thank you and goodbye.
This voice seems like an AI voice, actually.
I believe
it sounds AI generated.
I haven't confirmed this, but it sounds like the new voice of Disneyland. The previous one retired just recently, actually, having taken up the mantle from the original voice of Disneyland, interestingly enough. So, and that's what it sounded like to me. Ludwig von Drake, somebody was pointing out in the chat, and I believe Jonas made this point because Jonas knows all about voice actors. Not voiced by Corey Burton, Ludwig von Drake, who took over the reins from Paul Frees.
Wow.
Corey Burton, famously, when you listen to the Tram Spiel, you'll hear Corey Burton on there. You'll hear him as the ghost host in Night Before Christmas versions of Haunted Mansion and so forth. So he's real famous, and he has done Ludwig von Drake since Paul Frees had last done it. So to not use him as well, this was a lazy effort, to your point, Lorena.
This is just I've seen plenty of Disney shorts.
Wait a minute. I'm not sure. What card are you supposed to use?
We're supposed to use the white card.
He said it like 12 times.
It's the most Disney has used the word white in the last year.
They were like, use the white card. Use the white card. Use the white card. Use the white card.
So white is good now?
White for cards, yes. For people, not so much.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to make that. I guess this is.
But now you're against blue and green when all of your aliens are blue and green. Come on now.
Yeah.
You can be inclusive of the blue and green.
I love my little green men, though. I do. Oh, Kiss My Grits, thank you for that $20 super chat, my dear.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So generous. I appreciate the support. Wonders of Life should be rebranded with National Geographic, which would create an authentic edutainment experience that explores the many wonders of life via National Geographic's iconic photography, explored discoveries, etc. Yes, I mean National Geographic.
That would be acceptable.
I take that back. National Geographic on Disney Plus, they have some good stuff, but National Geographic is already known for they're underseas documentaries. I would be like glued.
Put Chris Hemsworth in it.
Yes, I saw that.
So,
I watched all of them twice.
And now we know why.
Yes, we know.
An
Chris
underutilized brand.
Hemsworth without a shirt. That's all they need.
Yes, that's all we need. That's all we need.
White card privilege.
But it's just, I cannot believe. I mean, they've never done this. And yes,
no,
we pronounced it white card. Don't go, not the blue one, not the. Okay, so we're against the blue card.
White,
you know, the Blackwell's card. I guess the Blackwell's card is in green face. I don't know. I guess that's what's going on with them. But
the blue card and the green card out. The white card.
You are not wanted. Dang it! We do not want you messing up our hustle.
I love how many times they said it though. That was the part. Like, are they going to repeat it again? It's like, yep. No,
you know,
but look at this exact thing that when you scroll down, they have white and it's underlined. How many times? I mean, that's really crazy.
Bold.
It is crazy, and
funny.
This is what pisses me off. And yes, we're gonna watch this video again because it's so darn cringe. The way we are because every time they would, push out the proxy package, you get this language to you as an individual investor. Well, we on the board know what's better for you, and they'll print out like all the proposals, like ones that a couple shareholders got together to put on the ballot for consideration, and the board says not to vote for this. The board says no, that idea about putting someone in the boardroom who's actually worked in the parks, like a line manager, we can't. No, that's a bad idea. We don't want them. We don't want them in the board. No, we don't want to disclose certain financial donations, how much we donate to Republicans or the Democrats. We don't want to do that. We don't want to, they basically tell you what to do. And because the individual shareholder amount is so small compared to the institutional investors like Vanguard, BlackRock, all of that, they're not going to listen to you. But with Peltz, this is the first time that as a stockholder, an individual stockholder, I have my few shares of stock that I've always wanted to buy. And when I got a real job, I actually did that. I bought Disney stock for myself, bought them for, some of my nieces and nephews, and well, let's put it this way. Even if Disney hits rock bottom, I mean, I'm still making money if I sold my stock right now. That's how far along, how far back I bought it. You feel listened to because you watch your stock that, let's say I bought at $30 a share after the Marvel sale of Marvel to Disney, and before they sold to George Lucas sold Star Wars to them. It's gone from $30 a share to over $200 to what is it now? Like 90 something? 80 something? But all of that value just gone.
This is why Peltz said that, hey, look at all these happy cast members at Walt Disney World. I guess they're happy because they don't own Disney stock, because if you did,
that was funny. If
you did buy in when the stock was nearing 200, and went on this late JPEG, early Bob Iger train here, I mean, you're out an astounding amount of money. Yeah. That is for sure. I mean, I know some people who invested not necessarily that high, but I mean they're underwater by quite a bit here. This has been absolutely devastating, which is why I think Peltz, I think he is being listened to a lot more, certainly by the company, as we can illustrate, as is illustrated right here, but by shareholders, because it's like, wait a minute, we thought when Iger was going to come in here that everything was going to turn around. In fact, the stock only has gone down. Now it's crept back up here, but that's, a lot of people are speculating that's only because of this proxy fight that this is actually happening. we need some long-term solutions here. And if the creative engine for this company is completely stalled, then how does that work with their vast synergistic flywheel? We need content to fuel this stuff. What does this mean for the parks and that investment?
Exactly. Because with the parks, I'm actually going to get to that. I know we're going a little bit over, but I'm going to bring up. I actually marked it up about the parks, but Peter brings up a good point, and I don't know if they did not mention this on the call. Again, they hit it in the report. Peter says they just pushed people to buy more shares to vote off these turds. I'm going to show you something. The Mouse House always thinks ahead. So I need to share this again. Dag on it. Okay, stop my screen. This is what happens when I have to switch. I have to switch to another browser. I think. Hang on.
While you're doing that, can I give you my take on what the introduction should have been to that?
Oh, sure. What?
Hi, we here at Disney, having recently lost our ability to put our own board members on our special district. We'd really like it if we could keep our own board members on our stock.
Yeah, that's basically it. Honestly.
Yeah. Goof430 says, how do you vote? Again, if you have Disney stock, especially if you have, I have an electronic broker. I have E-Trade, so I get mine electronically. They send you the forms, the information. You have a control number, and there's a proxy vote website that's listed. That's how you go there to vote. Some people get theirs by mail, paper ballot to vote. But this is the printed version of the earnings report. And one of the things that you have to notice is that when Iger does his song and dance, it's not all of this stuff. So you see, I already highlighted about, Hulu subscribers increased by 1.2 million, but Disney Plus core subscribers decreased sequentially by 1.3 million. And they admitted that it was because of the substantial price increase. Okay.
Yep.
At the parks, there's a reason that they showcase World of Frozen, because Hong Kong Disneyland and Shanghai Disney are the only ones that are making money, like actual money, and it's not revenue because of hyped up prices that are in the park. It's actually demand. They had their dividend. Of course, they're giving us a 45 cents a share, an increase of 50% versus the last dividend. Why is that? Because of what's happening with Peltz and with the Blackwell Group. But the interesting thing to notice here, and they didn't talk about it, February 2024, the board of directors approved a new share repurchase program effective February 7th. We plan to target $3 billion in repurchases in fiscal 2024. Mm-hmm. So what's going to happen? They get to control, they're on a mission to control how much stock is out there and floating around. Yeah.
That's it. I mean, they're like, okay, we have a little bit more outstanding shares that we would like. It's time to buy them back, and so that's really what is behind the some of their cost cutting. Right, it's to improve their margins on a lot of stuff, and yes, their operating income did improve. I believe it's like 27%. Improvement in that area, which is remarkable year over year. Even more if you do quarter to quarter. I think it's like 30% at that point. Mm-hmm. And it's operating income is the metric they use for profit. But a lot of that is the amount of cuts that they've instituted at every single level, and they have committed even deeper, from what I understand. I believe they originally said that they were going to cut 5.5, and now it's going to be 7.5. part of that is to have the cash necessary to buy back stock, along with all the other things that they want to do, like give Epic Games $1.3 billion, and they gotta do the Hulu deal and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that, and because people like, hey, Elon, you should buy stock. Well, I think they already planned
Thought of that.
They already thought of that. But it's interesting. It's in the report. Iger did not talk about it on the call. So if we go down here to
Parks.
I hate Edge, but at least it'll let me mark up stuff nice and pretty. We're going to talk about domestic parks and experiences. Okay, so decrease in operating income at our domestic parks and experiences reflected lower results at our domestic parks and resorts, largely offset by higher results at the Disney Cruise Line.
Right.
Cruise Line's doing good, but the domestic parks decrease in revenues and the modest decrease in revenues and higher costs. And that's due to a lower volumes due to decreases in attendance and occupied room nights. Remember, like the coupons of coupons of discounts that they're rolling out, both of which reflected the comparison to the 50th anniversary celebration in the prior year quarter. The 50th went over like a
sure, Jan.
Yeah, exactly. Sure.
Yeah, that's why. Notice when you're reading this too, think about that $60 billion and where it's likely to go when you see statements like largely offset by higher results at Disney Cruise Line, or an increase in 35% of revenues generated by international, or Walt Disney World not doing so well. That right there provides the blueprint where this bulk of this investment will go. We'll get into that too.
Yeah, I mean, they have like higher costs due to inflation, partially offset cost-saving initiatives, lower depreciation, increased guest spending due to higher average ticket prices, partly offset by lower average daily room rates. Again, Disney doesn't discount hotel rooms just to do it.
Yeah, they're elastic, and so the economy isn't doing all that well. They haven't had significant investments in their parks, so they have to create these convincing offers to generate demand for their hotel rooms, and some of that is just taking a haircut on those things. When you have 40,000 hotel rooms, is it better to have those things go on empty, which you still have to maintain, or is it better to fill those rooms with bodies? And that's the choice they've made.
They did something that I think was a little bit disastrous for the company. During the 50th, Disney already knew about, it's just going to call it revenge travel. So basically they had pent-up demand because of the pandemic, stoppages, and then 2020, late 2021, 2022 was the 50th. Well, in my opinion, and maybe it was something else, but I think Disney took advantage of the fact that they knew that they were going to have people coming in to lessen the quality of the 50th celebration. Basically, they just put out new merchandise. That was it, really, for the 50th. They didn't do much other than, we'll put a special chocolate on a dessert. During this time, I worked at a restaurant there, so I know this from very personal experience. But yeah, that's what they would do. This special dessert, we'll throw a chocolate on it, and that was it. And tons and tons and tons of merchandise. In other words, and from a guest perspective, and it was really weird working there because I always associated myself more as a guest, and I always advocated for the guest to have a better experience. Well, my feeling during the 50th is what an absolute letdown this whole thing is. It could have been amazing. And so as a result of that, people that came during the 50th and saw that same thing, had that feeling they're not going back to Disney anytime soon. They're like, if this is what they're going to do for the 50th, imagine what just a regular day is going to be. What, you repainted a castle? Big deal. I mean, there were no special shows. There were no special events. Even the television show had no guests. Can you believe that they had no guests for the television show? They had no, like, actual, like a crowd, like people coming in. It was all done privately in the middle of the night.
All for the press.
Weird.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So weird.
It really was. It was. Go ahead, Bash.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, stark contrast from the 50th at Disneyland in 2005. I remember the 50th Disneyland. They celebrated the heck out of that at that milestone celebration right there. I believe even on the day of July 17th, when the 50th actually took place, they had like Arnold Schwarzenegger show up. Bob Iger was there. Michael Eisner was there. You had all these celebrities. You had these performances. I think they released White Doves, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, it was crazy. and they put 50th emblems at every single attraction. They made they took the ride vehicles, or at least one of them, from each opening day attraction and made one of them gold, which was awesome to see. They just really poured their heart and soul into this because they knew what an incredible achievement that it was. And I mean, we had heard for years that maybe the 50th anniversary was going to embody that and much more, and unfortunately, that just didn't happen. And it's really tragic because, well, 50 only happens every 50 years, right?
Yeah.
And I thought that's what we were going to get at Disney, Disney World. And it was before I'd moved down here. It's like the 50th. They're going to have Tron up and running. I wonder if they're going to have a replica of Flynn's Arcade like they did when I went to Electronica out of Disneyland. And none of that freaking happened. None of it happened. Nothing that brought you the nostalgia back from when they first opened the park in 1971. I was expecting all these throwback merchandise, all this stuff that was going on. And it was such a freaking bust. So much so that when they had the garage sale of all of the Costco floor of all the merchandise, they had so much 50th anniversary merchandise left over that hardly no one wanted to buy it. And it's just like, why? It was done. It was done horribly, and you're right. It's like after seeing that, people are like, "This is what I'm paying for."
Well, for cast members, just so you have some inside information, they do these for all of this leftover merchandise. What they do is to try and get rid of it. They have these massive sales at the ESPN area in the arena, where they open the arena floor. They put all of the stuff in boxes. Basically, they're just, as a matter of fact, that's where I got this thing. My group behind me. That was sold in the parks for $60. I got it for $7.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
so
amazing.
I'm not anymore. But the point is, and I even got invited by a cast member to be their guest to go to this last one. And I'm like, it's not worth it. Most of the merchandise sucks. There's a reason why it's left over. But that is what they do. And I mean, for the last several years, they've had these sales. And what I didn't like about them, as when I was a cast member, it's like, so basically, the hand-me-down of the hand-me-down is the hand-me-down is what we get a chance to select. Thank you so much. And they try to make it like, oh, this is such a benefit, and I'm like, I kind of felt like crud, honestly, when I'm getting the scraps left over. I mean, granted, if I was Tony Stark, I could make the Iron Man suit from a box of scraps, but I'm not.
Yeah, you're right. It's like I remember going, and I'm just like, this is supposed to be impressive, and you all know, because when I do my live streams, I am a power window shopper. Okay, I'm looking for the best gear, the best swag, stuff that is just like, I got to go through the cushions in my car to get money, to buy. There's that dress, it's $200. Wish I had $200 to buy it. I mean, the good stuff. But what they had there was like all of this like merchandise that was just forgettable. And I remember I saw some people with a lot of bags, but I saw some people like me who were just like, no, not really, not interested in it. It was hardly anything that that you wanted to get, and it just was just very cheap. And for me, just cheapened the Disney merchandise experience, because I always remember Disney merchandise being one of the best parts of visiting the parks. It's just like, I can't get enough merchandise. That's just what I want. But that was just horrible, and it's a shame, and it really brought down the Disney brand in my eyes. I can see, and I almost want to say, I think it's almost embarrassing that's like offering the scraps to the people who run your park. Yeah. The people who are the financial engine that feeds the rest of the company. And here on my channel, I talk a lot about the cast members to put a human face onto this company, because it's very easy to say, oh, I want Disney to burn because of Iger and all that. It's like, Disney isn't just Bob Iger. For me, Disney is the cast members that I would see, every year when I would grow up going to the parks. Seeing like Auntie Callie, who used to be at the Polynesian until I think she went to Aulani, and then unfortunately she passed away, but she was a fixture at the Polynesian. I'd get lays from her, and it's like, oh, I have a picture taken with her. And it's the cast members make that experience. The cast members are what drive the money engine for the Walt Disney Company. And without the cast members are often the people that wind up unscrewing up what Disney will screw up, especially Disney IT. And that's a whole nother show where I could talk about Disney IT. Funny, because actually I had a recruiter reach out to me today about a job at Disney. Interestingly enough, it's contract.
Oh, really?
Not permanent. It's contract. Yeah, interesting enough. But
they need you anyway. So bad, but you're too good.
I'm just like, I maybe if Eisner was there, I'd do it, but I'm just like, no, I can't. I'll just keep my Imagineering book right here that I have, with Jay Rizzullo and John Lasseter and everyone else in it, but it's a shame. But anyway, we can watch this crazy video one more time, and then we're gonna sign off. I know we've had you guys here for a while, but
welcome, shareholders.
They
threw this site together.
Friends, relatives, and esteemed chairman, you're probably wondering what we're all doing here today. Now, let's begin.
Whoa, Professor Ludwig von Drake, slow down there. On April 3rd, the Walt Disney Company will be hosting its annual meeting of shareholders, and we need you to all vote for your board. Over the coming weeks, you'll be receiving your voting materials relating to the white proxy card. You may see them even sooner if you had consented to receiving them by email, so keep a watch on your inbox. Professor Ludwig, why don't you tell our shareholders how they can vote?
Yes. Today, we're going to use the Van Drake method.
Professor Ludwig, they don't vote using those kinds of cards. Voting is easy. You can vote electronically or by good old-fashioned mail. Note that if you type in the website address, you'll be asked to provide the control number shown on the white proxy card, so be sure to have it handy. If you access the website using the QR code on the white proxy card or the white Vote Now button on your email, no control number will be needed. Please vote all of your shares in all of your accounts. Each account will have a separate control number specific to the white proxy card. All electronic votes have to be submitted no later than 11:59 p.m. on April 2nd, 2024. If you hold shares in the Disney Employee Plan, please note the earlier voting deadline indicated on your white voting instruction form. Remember, it's important you vote only for Disney's 12 nominees using the white proxy card. Do not vote for the Trian Group or Blackwell's nominees. Voting this year is critical, no matter how many or how few shares you may own. Professor Ludwig, what should the shareholders do with their blue and green proxy cards?
No matter how big and how many.
I do not need the extended warranty.
Well, shareholders may simply discard them. Please do not use the blue or green proxy cards.
A difficult question for the professor?
Thank you, Professor. I think our shareholders are now well informed on how to vote for their board. Remember, it's important you vote only for Disney's 12 nominees using the white proxy card. Do not vote for the Trian Group or Blackwell's nominees. We thank you for supporting Disney. If you have any questions about voting your shares, please call our proxy solicitor, Innisfree M&A Incorporated. From Professor Ludwig von Drake and I, thank you and goodbye.
That's going to be a short.
The voice at the end gets so weird.
Yeah, that's why I think it's AI.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the reason why I think it was an AI. They may not have gotten the entire performance, and they may have chopped in some stuff. Especially how many times they use the word white.
Yeah. That was
Yeah,
definitely on. Was definitely on purpose and one of the cringiest things. Oh my god, I never heard. Okay, now what color did they say?
Yeah,
I think it was white.
I think it was
no.
white.
No way.
Stockholders like, they told me to vote white. I voted white.
Yeah, exactly.
I loved it. It was much better than Cats. I'm going to see it again and again. Anybody remember that reference? Saturday Night Live sold.
That's hilarious.
Like, how would I know how to vote if Disney hadn't have told me how I was supposed to? Oh goodness. Oh well, folks. I know this show was a little bit later, but wanted to suck in all the information from the very boring shareholders call, but all of the nuggets that were in the printed the printed report. So definitely check that out. And thank you to all of my amazing guests on the panel. Culture couldn't make it tonight, and thank you Views with Hughes for dropping in. Thank you Bash. Thank you Ron for dropping in with us. Thank you Retro Nerd Girl. You guys are awesome. And the links to their channels for Bash, of course, it's going to be that Park Place down there in the description box. So please do me a favor, make sure that you are subscribed to all of my guests. Ron Bradley, his channel, follow the Bradley's Fun. He does really fun vlogs and live streams out at the parks. And as a former cast member, hey, you get all that kind of different perspectives. So definitely check his videos out. Yes.
Oh, I hate to apologize for this, but I'm white.
Remember, white.
It's important.
Oh golly. Oh golly.
Remember, don't vote the blue one.
I'm part Cherokee.
The white one. Don't vote the blue board, but the white board.
Yes.
Blue and green, bad.
Oh God, this is exactly what we do here on it.
They should have said, don't vote for Gamora and don't vote for what's the Yondu. Vote for Star-Lord.
Yeah, there you go. That's oh man.
To break it down and make it easier for you. Oh my
yes.
Because all we see is color.
Yeah, that's all we see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh man. Well, folks, we're gonna wrap this show up. Of course, you guys are watching the Dark Council show this evening, which I will eventually be over on that panel. This stream is going to direct you right over to their stream as soon as we wrap up. So thank you for using white vision.
Oh golly. Yes.
That's great.
Oh Lord, I'm dead. Oh man, with that said, folks, thank you so much for